Hello guys and girls and whoever else is watching. Okay, let's do that again.
That's perfect.
That was great.
Hello everyone.
Hello,
I'm Paul.
and I'm Bartosz.
I just won the calling with this list.
The Briar list I've built and we cooperated on, took the few things through. Paul made it to the finals and won. I made it to top 8 of the showdown and lost to my friend Artur Trehey on Kano. And that's the list we want to introduce you guys, how it works, what were the deck choices and the ideas we had for the list.
So I piloted the deck, the calling finals, but Bartosz is like the main architect of this deck. He designed everything and the deck kind of played itself, if I'm being honest. So Bartosz will take the lead in this deck tech video because he knows way more about the list than me.
Let's go through it. For anyone that didn't have a chance to play this wonderful hero, we have Briar. Her ability actually has two abilities. One of them being that whenever you deal damage with any of your action cards, you create an embodiment of Earth. You might know it from all the new Earth heroes. She was the OG that was using it really efficiently. And also, your other ability is that whenever you play two non-attack actions during each of your turn, you create an embodiment of Lightning. So you don't need that many go against in the deck, because you can always convert your non-attack actions into an additional go-against source that lets you play many more attacks that have a meaningful effect but don't have go-again in itself. I guess let's start with equipment. My choice was only to run Starfall because I believe that it's better at converting your hands, because the main issue with Briar whenever you play her is that sometimes you break on either all attack actions or all non-attack actions. Why Starfall is better than Ripping Blade, for example, is that it's a lightning weapon. So whenever you play some of your non-attacks, for example Sizzle, you can use Starfall to drive them and be able to convert the hand, even though normally you wouldn't be able to do that with a Ripping Blade, for example. The same comes for Flourishes, as they require the attack to be buffed, and Starfall does it by itself whenever you play any lightning card. So that was the main idea. And also against fatigue decks or the slower matchups, whenever you want to preserve some of your cards, it's much easier to swing the Starfall after playing any of the lightning cards you have, and then keep them for the second cycle so that you can use them then, in comparison to Ripping Blade that doesn't have go again, so you can get stuck with all the attack actions that don't have in it go again. And also one major thing is Burn Up Shock. That's why you want Starfall, because whenever you run your only chest Blossom of Spring, it gives you one resource. So your biggest turns, your go-off turns in this format are whenever you set up Burn Up Shock and swing with Starfall using your Blossom of Spring, and then follow up with other non-attack actions and attack actions to be able to push through Burn Up's effect. That is the biggest swing that you can get with the deck, I believe. As for the other pieces of equipment, we have two Blade Beckoner pieces. What I believe differentiates my build from other Briars is that I really like my equipment to block. I prefer if I have an option to gain tempo back with blocking, not with attacking, or like being able to do both. Some of the builds, I believe, only choose to play Bracers of Belief, and that only allows you to be on the offensive. And with Beckoning Hound, you can do some more blocking and be actually favored into some of the matchups, not be forced to attack all the time.
That was like a big lesson for me. I really like attacking and not blocking, but blocking is so good. Like
you wouldn't believe it, guys.
Yeah, blocking is so good, even in aggro decks. Like that's Bartosz's vision. Like even in aggro decks, blocking efficiently is very important. And like for me, it was like, yeah, but there's always two, and I can push up a snatch, or I can push through a burn-up shock turn. But yeah, this is not always two, because you can miss with it sometimes. You have two yellow flourishes, and sometimes you board in blues. But this is always two. The thing about attacks is, I just realized these tournaments, they have scary unhits, like burn-up shock, snatch, and this stops those. So sometimes it's even more than two.
Yeah, I think the main issue whenever people start playing the game and playing aggro decks is that they only see the attacking part, but a really important thing is that you also can use your cards to block, even though most of them only blocks for two. And with equipment, you can actually stop your opponent's on hit, because blocking your opponent's snatch with any of your two blocks and then piece of equipment is like if you drew an actual card or used up your other card to block with. so that's not something that is pretty common among the aggro players from what I've seen, but that's something to have in consideration whenever you learn to play all the aggro decks we have in the game. So these are the arms we talked through. As for the headpieces, we have of course Blade Beckoner, and then we have Helm of Might and Magic. It's for wizard matchups and for the mirror, because in mirror one of the most important cards we have is Sigil of Suffering. And basically, even though Helm of Might and Magic blocks 1 and has Spell Void 1, whenever you prevent the arcane damage from Sigil of Suffering, it's basically worth 2 value. So it's not uncommon to get 2 value as if we would have gotten it from Blade Beckoner Helm, but it's much more modular. And as we've talked about blocking with equipment, it can actually, making it from 4 into 3, can make it so that one of your own hits actually makes it through. So that's a really important piece. And the last ones we have other leg pieces. Unflinching Foothold for Azalea and Bravo Fluttering Showman.
Volda too.
Also Volda, yeah.
KO, yeah.
KO.
I did it. I don't know, because
I wasn't sure,
yeah?
but I was considering it, but I wasn't sure. I could see it both, so you guys have to test it out. If you follow up Paul's path, you should for sure go with Unflinching Foothold. I probably should have been on Unflinching Foothold also, to be honest, so yeah, let's leave it at that. And then we have Null Rune Boots for the wizard matchups. I believe it's slightly better than Spell Void 1 because you can filter one of your cards whenever they attack you with arcane damage during their first turn. And also because of the some amount of blues we have in the sideboard and the 2 yellows we always have in the main board, sometimes you can get more value than out of only having Spell Void in your deck. So
Cascano is so good. If they go for the kill turn and you have AB1, you can pitch 2 and their kill turn has to go up by 2.
It might not seem like much, but in the live format with only 20 HP to spare, it's a lot. We can go through the attack actions first. We have some elemental cards, some generics, and some lightning cards. The generics are the aggro staples, so Ravenous Rubbles, Carforest cards, and Snatches, what you see in basically every aggro deck we ever have in every format. Then we have Runeblade cards, we have Arcanic Shockwaves, Static Shocks, and Arcanic Crackles. What's interesting about these 2 cards is that because of how Briar's ability is worded, whenever you deal arcane damage with one of these, you always create an embodiment of Earth. And that's really important to make it so that you don't brick as often, or even if you brick on the full non-attack hand, you can block with it efficiently or even better than Guardians sometimes. That's an impressive thing. So that sometimes happens, and especially whenever you need to gain back tempo, these 1-card plays allow you to keep the embodiment of Earth train going, gaining value from blocking and preventing some of the on-hits your opponent has, and then being able to set up the big turn to get the tempo back. Also, what I like about these cards, the number down there is a 3 block. And that will be common in all of the builds I present whenever I go to a tournament and it's an aggro deck, because as I've said, sometimes blocking in aggro deck, even though it might not be an intuitive thing to do, is worth more than attacking, because you always need some life total to be able to gain the tempo back or to keep the tempo. That's important about the aggro decks. It's not always about smacking your hand from left to right. You need turns to set up things, and also you need life buffer to be able to do some tricks and also try to bluff your opponent from time to time. We have 2 more basically generics that are Entwine Lightning that have Innate Go Again, so your extenders per se, and then 1 copy of Jack Be Quick. Because it's a 3 block, you don't mind drawing it whenever, and even if you can't convert it as an attack action because you haven't yet had a chance to put a Nimblism in your discard pile, it's still a 3 block, so it's never an issue to draw him. It having an option to gain Go Again is really important, especially in longer games. In longer games, you will always have a chance to play Nimblism or pitch Jack Be Quick for the second cycle if ever comes up against Fatigue. It's something your opponent will not expect for you to have more Go Agains in the second cycle, as you will have probably used up all of your non-attacks, so it will be really hard for you to get a Go Again from Embodiment of Lightning. So that's why Jack Be Quick is here. Then we have some lightning attacks. We have another Aurora staple, so Second Strike, perfect aggro card. Lightning Surge is one of the best setup cards you have in Briar. because it gets go again, and because it's a lightning card, you can always swing Starfall after it. A really important piece for setup matchups. And then a singular copy of Skizik. We were missing a card that was lightning to be able to activate Starfall, and also a card that can sometimes potentially use up the Flourish buff, or we can be able to buff it with lightning. We can go through the non-attacks now because we've came to it. Naturally. So we have the lightning non-attacks with lightning and sizzles. Lightning presses are kind of like non-attacks. It's your combat trick per se. Most often want to pair it up with burn-up shocks or snatches because these are your most important on-hit effects. Sometimes it's even good just to play it on an attack without go again to be able to create embodiment of earth. It might not look impressive at first sight that you have it, but actually being able to block like a standard deck with all your cards for 3 is really huge, especially with the amount of 2 blocks that deck is running. And then for the earth non-attacks, we have the new card introducing 10 Sprout Strength, Flourishes from the Terra deck, so all the 3/4/0 non-attacks we can get our hands on. Singular Bramble Spark in the main board, because sometimes we want a different card in that spot. Paul will say to you, it's a small high rolly card that you can run that is not as consistent as everything else, but whenever it connects, it's an insane value because it's basically 4/4/0 with Go Again that most likely will guarantee that your attack action makes an embodiment of earth, and as we spoke about it, it's really important to have it in play.
Against Decimator Dory in one of my rounds in Swiss, I pitched them away because they were bad first cycle, and in the second cycle I had like a huge turn with 2 Bramble Sparks and a Skizik to attack for 12 Go Again with 2 Arcane to like kind of seal the game. They're kind of bad, but if you see them second cycle and you can set them up, they're so good.
Whenever you have embodiment of earth in play, you don't mind that you can't convert it fully for 4 value because you can always block for 3 with it. And then the Nimblism we showed with Jax, another staple 3/4/0 buff that works on basically every card we have in the deck. And now, as for the sideboard, there's a lot. We have Sigils of Sufferings for all the decks we want to block against. All the aggro mirrors we might face off against, so Briar, KO, 5 for example, or the ninjas. And
Flavo, I think.
yeah, Bravo Fluttering Shaman Flavo. We are not sure about the warriors. Probably if you know that someone is on Dawnblade Dory, you should bring these, but if you are going in blind, you should not run these because they are not as good against Decimator. And also against Decimator you will need some other stuff, we'll go to that. Then we have Arcane Seeds Life. This is your Earth card. That's fantastic because it has a number 3 down there. And whenever you have embodiment of earth, it makes it into 4. So it's basically like the cards you can play and extend your turns with are blocking for 4. Create a half of an embodiment of lightning token, insane. And it also fuses Bramble Spark. And we come to the creme de la creme, I would say. The package of evergreens and additional blue cards and the singular arcane polarity we will talk about in a moment. But what I believe differentiated our deck from other ones is that we had a plan into Fatigue that wasn't just playing our cards left to right. We were able to get to the point, because of the 3 blues we had, that in the second cycle you were able to loop the evergreens. Basically the end game looked like these were your only 3 cards you had in your hand at any time or in your deck, and you were arsenaling one of the evergreens, playing it, it goes to the bottom of the deck, you'll draw it next turn, arsenal the other one, and keep the loop going. If you have enough life total, as much as possible, but you need around 10, 9, maybe 8 is stretching it, life total. Being able to take 2 hits from the weapon your opponent is presenting before being forced to block is the amount, I would say, that is required for you to be able to get them through. They also cannot have too many cards in the deck, but you will get the feeling for it after a few games. Your opponent will not be able to deal with it, and you will basically out-fatigue them, even though it's not something you would expect from an aggro deck.
Best weapon in the game.
Best weapon in the game. It also makes an embodiment, but at that point you probably don't have many non-attacks, so it's not that good. Also, you don't always have to do the low perfectly. You don't have to pre-arsenal one of them. Most of the time, if the card total is low enough, you can send the first one from hand, arsenal it, then send that one twice before it's out of order and we are left with only Starfall, but that might be enough into most of the time whenever you get to that point. So that's something to have in consideration.
It's also Popper versus Enigma.
Oh yeah, that was really important. For both illusionists that are in the Sage, so both Drama and Enigma, it's a Popper that also, whenever the game would have a chance of going into fatigue, you can pitch for the second cycle. And because illusionists don't have a weapon, you don't really have to set up both of them. You only need one to be able to infinitely loop them in the end game and kill them even through spectral shields that would be created by Enigma from her cheese. Yeah, that's evergreen.
It's always good. If Enigma's fatiguing you, it's good for the end game. And if she plays a more tempo game, you can just steal back the tempo. Like pop.
Slightly lower to Arcane Polarity. There is only one, because for the Briar mirror you don't want more of them because they can get clunky. There's not as much arcane damage in the deck to be able to consistently convert it to 4 value. So most of the time you have to set it up, so you would never want to be in a situation whenever you draw the second one, your opponent is not attacking you with arcane damage. As for the choice of blues, in the end that was we think perfect setup. Flourishes are Earths, so you can fuse Bramble Sparks with them, and also because of Starfall you can also, it's not 3 value but 2 value in the second cycle from a blue is good enough. Trip the Light Fantastic as a backup blue if you ever were in a position to spend this to gain tempo in the middle of the game. And also against wizards you can always discard it to prevent 2 of the damage, so on their go off turn you have possibility of preventing more damage than they would think.
Also because they're pitch cards. I had a game where I was getting fatigued and these would go to the deck naturally because they'd pitch for Evergreen, Starfall, and I played like Blue Flourish, Yellow Flourish, Trip the Light Fantastic, and I had a Lightning Press in Arsenal. And it also actually works on a Trip the Light Fantastic to like give it +8 out of nowhere.
That's a cool trick you can do. You can start your turn with Flourish. Your opponent has to decide if they think you have Lightning Press. They have to maybe overblock because their life total is low. And otherwise you can always send Starfall or play another buff and send another attack action, and still the Flourish will go through that first attack action you've played. There's a lot of small stuff you can do with the deck. The more you play it, the more you discover what the deck can do. As for the last card, that was the only change I made for today's showdown. I changed it for Fry because
Actually my school here.
Yeah.
No block. Send it.
It actually bite me in one of the games, but but in the other one it was really good because it's another card that activates the Starfall. Because I played more against 2 Enigmas, it was actually really good to be able to keep the tempo so they could never have an aura in play and try to smack me with it and follow it up with Enigma Chimeras or other strong stuff that gets you down on life total, and then you can never get to the point to loop Evergreens, or you just have to give up cards, and that's not good. Especially against Enigma, as she always makes it hard for you to actually deal the damage and create an embodiment, so you don't block as well as against other decks you would face off against. So that's a small change you can do, whichever you prefer, Fry or Bramble Spark. Both are really good, both have their upsides and downsides. And I believe that would be it.
I learned a lot actually.
We should have done it before.
I'm glad I can watch it back, because you said something here, I was like, wait, you need the lively to get the tempo and take it back. It's like, yeah, oh. That's smart. That's smart.
The more you know. The more you know. So, in summary, you've seen the main board. We talk about all the cards, so you guys know what's in the main board. And then we have 35 cards here. So, into every matchup, we need to bring 5 more. Against Briar, we would bring 2 Sigils of Suffering, 2 Arcane Seeds Life, and 1 Arcane Polarity. For all the other aggro decks, so for example ninjas, you would replace Arcane Polarity because they don't deal arcane damage with Bramble Spark or the Fry. Against decks that you think can fatigue you, Guardians, you would want to bring these 6 cards to have a backup blue. If you ever face off against Illusionist, you don't need an additional blue, so it will be fine to replace one of them with Arcane Seeds Life. Or if you are feeling frisky, you can play Sigil of Suffering to try to juice them on one of the spectral attacks they will make against you.
They'll never see it coming.
Yeah, I would be surprised. Also against fatigue decks, because it's so hard to push the burn-up shocks in, I was choosing to only play one of them and set it up for the second cycle, and that's where flourishes shine, as Paul mentioned. The easiest way to get fatigued is that you play burn-up shocks and don't push them through with lightning press or with enough cards that you have, so it gets wasted, and against fatigue, only converting your card to one value is not something you want to be doing. So that's something to have in consideration whenever you play against fatigue, that even though it's a red liner, you can actually set up some stuff for the second cycle and do a meaningful turn and surprise your opponent with that. The wizard is the odd one out, so we have to remove Arcanic Crackles because they are not actually good into wizards, because Embodiment of Earth is kinda not good against them, basically. And then we bring all the blues we have, Arcane Polarity, another Bramble Spark. We have more Earth, so it will be easier to do it, and it's also an extender. And then Arcane Seeds Life.
Also blues really good versus wizard, that is Icelander, gives you frostbite.
Basically against Icelander, you need to see one of your pitch cards during the game to win, and with you having 5 of them, it might not seem like much, but it's actually a lot in the format, so that's how you get them.
Well, as you heard, the master deck builder, this list plays itself. Like normally when I play my own list, I'm anxious about what will happen, but if I play this list, I'm at ease, because I'm like, I'll play a fair game Flesh and Blood where I'm blocking, attacking, will be a good game anyway. So yeah, thanks so much Bartosz, and
happy to help.
if you want to be more in depth with this list and have it all on a clear point of reference, check out Bartosz Metafy, because he will go more in depth, and it will be easy for you to take as a reference and check it out yourself. Anyone can win something.
So good luck at your ProQuest and have fun playing Silver Age.